Todd Muller.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and it's a great privilege to be able to stand up on behalf of the Bay of Plenty region, one of the most strongest performing regions in the country. And firstly, that underpins that is, of course, the recent free trade agreement that we announced recently. And I want to acknowledge Tim Grosser in particular. He's a phenomenal advocate for New Zealand's interests overseas. Not only has it been TPP, and it will soon be the EU Free Trade Agreement, it's also the Korean Free Trade Agreement. And so well done to Tim Grosser, an absolute leader. But as I look across the House and I look at the opposition, and I was absolutely surprised that Labor Party in particular, I'm going to ignore the New Zealand First, who's always opposed to connecting ourselves to the world, but particularly the Labor Party, who have for the last 20 years held a view that we should be connected in the world, and particularly with respect to trade, we should be shoulder to shoulder, but not this leadership under Andrew Little. And what I find is there is a portion of the Labor Party that I would expect that. Those who are unionists, those who are academics, those who have never put a dollar of their own capital at risk to sell anything to anybody who's overseas and actually demands value. But there are 4 or 5 in that party, and I'm looking at 2 of them, David Parker and David Shearer, but I can add Damien O'Connor, Phil Goff, Clayton Cosgrove, who for the last 20 years have said, look, with respect to trade, we're going to be bipartisan, because we understand the benefit to New Zealand when you actually drive a decent and strong deal, which is exactly what Tim Grosser has done. And Mr. Speaker, over the last 10 years, and indeed when they were in government, they were for the Chinese FTA. And in fact, they sat here on this side, supported by Tim Grosser, when there was only us as part of the P4, and tried to imagine how we can connect this small country at the bottom of the world with hardly any trade leverage into a part of a large economic trading bloc. And they were part of that thinking, and indeed they pursued it with vigour. And we managed to get the approval, of course, of the Chinese for that Chinese FTA, and that has been worth significant benefit not only to the country but particularly to where I've come from.